I'm very happy to welcome you all and also to welcome our host for today, Jenny Norris Peterson, and our presenter, Kathleen Rehl. We're going to start with a um, land acknowledgement, and I'm going to share my screen so that you can see that. The churchwide office of Women of the ELCA is located on the original and ancestral lands of the Kickapoo, Peoria, Potawatomi, Miami, Ho-Chunk, and Sioux people. We give thanks for these tribal nations, and we acknowledge and honor the original inhabitants of the various regions represented by all of you today. We recognize and honor all Indigenous siblings, supporting the resilience and strength they have shown worldwide. If you would like to add to the chat an acknowledgement of where it is you live, you can do something like this and visit http://native-land.ca. And Jenny, we're ready for you.
Thank you. Greetings and a very warm welcome to everyone joining us today. I'm your host, Jenny Norris Peterson, a women's philanthropy speaker, writer, and consultant, and a member of Gloria Dei Lutheran Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Today we have a wonderful presenter for you, Kathleen Rehl, who will be exploring the topic with us, getting ready for and enjoying retirement. In my work with women's philanthropy, I've learned that women often worry more than men do about outliving their money. Kathleen has some great ideas that she'll talk about with us today regarding having a balanced retirement. We don't need to worry as much about outliving our resources if we have done careful, comprehensive planning and living according to that plan. She'll also get us to think deeply about our personal values as we do our financial planning. It's not just a numbers game. Note that there will be time today for both small group discussion time as well as questions and answers at the end of Kathleen's presentation. So listen with questions in mind. We'll be glad to hear from you about the things where you want more information. So listen with questions in mind. We'll be glad to hear from you about the things where you want more information. I first met Kathleen more than a decade ago when we both were panelists at the Decorah, Iowa annual conference, Women, Faith, and Finance. I was impressed by her professionalism and her positive energy, and I know you will be too. In the course of her talk today, Kathleen will mention how her career unfolded from public school teacher to certified financial planner to the consultant, writer, and speaker she is today, with some really interesting steps in between. Let me just add that she's written a best-selling book called Moving Forward on Your Own, a financial guidebook for widows. She herself came to be a widow unexpectedly at the age of 60 and realized the need for this kind of resource. So Kathleen, welcome and take it away.
Thanks for joining our third segment in this series about finance, faith, and philanthropy from the women of the ELCA. I'm Kathleen Rehl, your leader for today's session. An easy way to remember my name is that I'm a real financial advisor, not a bogus one. I'm so glad you're here with us today, joining other women like you who are visible, relevant, and going strong. We're focusing on getting ready and enjoying retirement. That includes navigating your journey with wisdom, intention, and insight. We gather as a community of women to explore the topic of retirement today. Let's just take a moment to center ourselves and reflect on the profound spiritual dimensions of this stage of our life. I thought this passage from Ecclesiastes is appropriate for us today. There we are reminded that for everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Life unfolds in seasons. Our retirement years represent a sacred season, a time to reflect on our journey, wisdom gained, and the blessings received. May the spirit of gratitude and the love of the Lord guide us throughout our time together today. Amen. Retirement is one of the most significant transitions in a woman's life. In our time together, we'll cover two main areas of retirement. The first part is retirement based on your values and purpose or meaning. And the second area is focused on your important financial considerations. And we'll have time to share our experiences and ask questions. Work until you die was the historical retirement plan, or at least until you can't work anymore. But in the late 1800s, German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck introduced modern pensions. Now, his idea spread to the United States with Social Security created in 1935. But today, life expectancy reaches lengths Bismarck could not have imagined, with retirement lasting 2 and even 3 decades. Did you know that the term golden years was created in 1959 as an advertising pitch for Sun City, Arizona? Right, it was to get age 55 and older folks to move to this retirement community out in the middle of nowhere in the desert. Retirement was sold as a perpetual vacation, relaxation and leisure, travel, play golf, fine dining. Most recently, the Margaritaville retirement fantasy has prevailed. But guess what? Retirement isn't about lifestyle of beaches and boats and bars and sailing and surfing and flying, having fun constantly. It's about transitioning to becoming more of who you are and valuing experience more than things and making a difference instead of simply making a living. I like this quote by Mark Middleton of Growing Bolder. That organization believes that this retirement stage of life is the best. So where are you on the retirement road? On this slide, I've depicted several stages that some people follow. These are the ones in color. There's the pre-retirement time. That's when you're making plans, getting ready for that big day when you're going to say goodbye to the office where you worked or the school where you taught or wherever your employment was. And then there's maybe a honeymoon phase. Oh boy, I'm free, I'm retired. And you travel a bunch, you do projects, you sleep in late, you just have a good time. But then for some people, there's a disenchantment that sets in. Is this all that there is? Is this what retirement about? And I have to let you know that it's mainly the guys that feel this. I used to be Mr. Big so-and-so, and now I'm only such and such. Then there's a reorientation, and you are creatively slipping into your new lifestyle and then moving forward. Now, at the same time that this is happening, there could be outliers, and they're the gray circles that are on the graphic. Things like being laid off or fired or a gray divorce. And I understand from elder law attorneys that I work with that this is, for some of them, the fastest growing segment of their practice. There's family care. It could be your own elderly parents or the kids are moving back home again. Widowhood. That was me. My husband died when I was 60 years old, and I was certainly far from retirement then. Money problems can crop up, health issues of you or others that perhaps you are responsible for, and a number of other myriad activities can be associated with pre-retirement or retirement. Now, as you look at this retirement road, I want you to think about where you might fit. Here's a quick summary of how my retirement road's going. I started life as a farm girl, and we'd worked a lot on the farm. But it wasn't until I graduated college that I started my real professional career as a public school teacher, and I did that for a few years. And then I finished my PhD and became a university professor. Well, that worked out real well. I got tenure, but it was time for something new. So I entered the nonprofit sector for a dozen years and also simultaneously worked on my CFP certification. And after I became a certified financial planner, I opened my own business, Real Financial Advisors. Did that for 18 years. And then it was time to change again. I sold that business at age 67 and embarked on what I call an encore career. It was only supposed to last a year or two, but whoop, it lasted 6 years. I did a lot of speaking and teaching, writing, and mentoring, and crisscrossing the country. Put a lot of air miles on my credit card for sure. And then several years ago, at age 72, I went into retirement. Now, that's not vintage retirement at all, because I'm still involved with activities associated with helping my widowed sisters, advocating for nonprofit organizations and helping them to grow or establish their endowment funds, and some special family kinds of projects. So that's where I'm at on my story right now. Your life purpose consists of the main motivating aims of your life, the reasons why you get up in the morning. Do you know that research shows that a strong sense of purpose in retirement improves our mental and physical health and enhances just the overall quality of our life? Who knew? There are many studies that show that long-living folks are more apt to have a strong sense of purpose. I believe that. Enjoying a purposeful retirement involves harmonizing your values, goals, and sense of meaning. Here's an important question for you. What gives you meaning and purpose? And if you've got that piece of paper and pencil, write that down, jot that down, because we will be using this for discussion in just a bit. So, what are your most important values? Here are 16 of the most common values people say matter to them. As you look at this list, pick out 3 values that matter to you. Then write those down or make a mental note of these. All right, just very quickly, there's achievement. That's when you want to accomplish something maybe important in your life. Adventure, you like variety and excitement. Aesthetics, that you appreciate music, art, literature. Authority, you want to be a key decision maker. Autonomy, being independent and free. Generosity, being able to give either money or time or talents. Health, being physically and mentally and emotionally well-being. Integrity, that's honest and straightforward, being just and fair. Intimacy, friendship, love, that's having close personal relationships with family, friends, and having affection. Pleasure, that involves experiencing personal satisfaction from activities that you would be involved with. Recognition, be successful. Security, that's about feeling stable and comfortable. Service, contributing to the quality of other people's lives. Spiritual growth, that's having communication or harmony with the infinite source of all life. Wealth, acquiring an abundance of money. Wisdom, having insight, pursuing new knowledge, and have good judgment. Okay, in a nutshell, a very fast nutshell. Of those 16, I know this is hard, but pick out 3 that are highly valued by you and make a note of that. Now it's time for you to talk as we go into breakout time. You can each pick one of these 3 things to discuss in your breakout group. You might talk about where you are on the retirement road, or you may choose to discuss what gives you meaning and purpose in retirement, and what do you value most. So everybody in the group will have a chance to talk about one of those 3 things. And then you can also discuss how things are going for you in your stage of retirement, what's good and what's challenging. Okay, apple cart upset, going into breakout time. Bringing you back into the general room here might be difficult because you still have other important things to chat about, but we'll soon have another longer breakout session fairly soon, promise. I created a little graphic to emphasize my values and what matters most to me in retirement. That's what I call my retirement stage. Yes, these are my special F words, and they're all good F words too. So that includes family, fun, that's art, writing, learning, traveling, and music. Focus, purpose. I realize I'm stretching that one a little bit to get the F in there, but that's helping nonprofits and others, especially my widowed sisters. Friends or relationships are so important to me. And as you know, with this 75-year-old Harvard study, it shows that the one factor that is most important for happiness in long age is relationships. Fitness, that's body, mind, spirit, and money. Those are all important to me. So those are my 5 retirement F words. Now we're shifting into the second segment of this webinar. This emphasizes financial considerations and questions before or during your retirement. Might seem like a jigsaw puzzle that's challenging to assemble sometimes. I know, I've been there. Keep in mind that this is general only and not specific to your situation. I don't know all of your facts and circumstances, so this isn't designed just as advice for you. You'll need to talk to your own financial professionals about that. I've got 9 areas that many people have told me are important to them. For example, when do I start Social Security? If you take your benefit at age 62, it's going to be less than at your full amount at age, it's 67 now. When you retired, it may have been 66 or even 65. You can wait until you're age 70 for an annual increase that keeps getting larger than that full retirement benefit. But after age 70, it doesn't grow any further, so you want to take it by age 70. If you're married, you'll want to coordinate spousal benefits, definitely. Where to live? Rents and costs of buying a home have increased dramatically, especially in the last few years. Are you planning on aging in place or what? Have you considered a CCRC, a continuing care retirement community? Longevity spending. In retirement, first of all, there's generally go-go spending when you're traveling and spending a lot more money on things. Then there's go-slow spending, and then finally no-go spending when you reach your 90s. But perhaps you're spending more for healthcare costs. And speaking of healthcare costs, do you have long-term care insurance? Investment shifts from saving to spending down. More conservative investments as you age. Less in growth assets like stocks. That was when you were saving in your IRAs and other retirement plans. You're putting more in CDs and treasury bonds. During pre-retirement, you're in savings mode. And how much should you save? Well, that depends on a lot of factors, including your lifestyle. Look at what you need for your living expenses, and then you subtract out the sources of retirement income, including pensions and Social Security and your required minimum distributions from retirement accounts and any other regular income. And what's left is the amount that you will need to have annually. Consolidate and simplify your accounts. It's sort of the Marie Kondo approach to life. It makes it a lot easier if you've got less accounts to deal with. Are you going it alone or as a couple? Do you know that 90% of women will be responsible for making financial decisions at some time during their life? So don't rely on Harry to take care of all the finances. I'm glad you're here today at this webinar to be thinking about some of these things, because at some point you may likely have to be dealing with them, especially if you've experienced widowhood or divorce. Write or update estate plans. Stale trusts are problematic. Law changes. The Secure Act and Secure Act 2.0 were major impact on inherited IRAs. That's way beyond the scope of what we're talking about today, but just be aware. Consider legacy planning. It's a lot more than just the documents, the will, the trust, the power of attorney for estate, financial and healthcare. It's more than money. It's about sharing your stories and your dreams and hopes for the next generation. And there's ways to do this with legacy storytelling. Are you going to take phased or full retirement? Maybe refirement is right for you too, like it is for me, or maybe not. All facets of wellness in retirement are important, including body, mind, spirit, and money. It's better to harmonize all 4 parts. A couple of examples from research shows the connection. 1, if you look at lifetime expenditures for healthcare over your entire life, you might spend 1/3 of that in the final years of your life. And the second example, wellness in general is strongly connected with financial stability. So Keep on exercising, eating your veggies, staying connected with your church friends, keeping your mind engaged, and paying attention to your money matters in retirement. Now I want to tell you about a great new idea that can give you a stable lifetime income and a welcome income tax break. If you're age 70 and a half or older, have an IRA account, and love your church, this might work for you. Now, the idea is called a legacy IRA, and it was created by a new law, Secure 2.0, as of January 1st of this year. So this is a brand new baby. I set up this legacy IRA plan for myself by rolling over money from my IRA into a charitable gift annuity. That annuity pays me 6.8% for life, no matter how long I live. And then afterwards, what's left over goes to 2 congregations I cherish and a national organization that benefits widows. It's a real win-win deal for everybody. I also set up a charitable trust that will start after I die. It'll pay income annually to my son for 20 years, and if he passes prematurely, that money will go to my grandson. After 20 years, the balance in the fund will go to 2 religious congregations and a national nonprofit supporting racial and social justice initiatives. This approach has many advantages beyond the scope of today's session, but I just want you to know that there are many creative ways to benefit yourself and your loved ones, and at the same time, support your values. Want some help with your financial plans, either before or after you've retired? Here are some professionals you may consider working with. There are comprehensive financial planners, hourly consultants, mutual fund company representatives, asset managers, insurance agents, accountants, and attorneys. All of these folks work with money in various ways. And here are a few questions to ask as you interview financial professionals. What are your credentials and qualifications? What kind of an ideal client do you prefer working with? What's your experience? How will you communicate with me during the planning process? Are you a fiduciary? By the way, fiduciary means that they are legally bound to act in your best interest. How are you compensated? Are you paid a flat fee? Are you paid a percentage of assets that you're managing? Are you paid for a project, or exactly what? Now, I've had some women say to me, "Oh, I don't pay anything for my financial advisor." Right. Look at who is paying that financial professional. And if it's someone other than you, then that's who the financial professional is really working for. Follow the money. Who's paying the person? That's who they're really working for. And you want somebody working for you, not for some big company. Many online sources offer free information for retirement planning. Here's a great one to start with. The Women's Institute for a Secure Retirement. It is a nonprofit organization, and I've got their website right there. You may want to note it. And you can get in on free webinars. They have in-person conferences, different locations, many articles that you can read or download. It's just it's a good place to start. You can also find some free tools on my website, as well as an extensive list of articles that I've written. It's just my name, KathleenRehl.com. There are a couple of items that I've shown in this slide. One is a chapter from my book, and it has a listing of financial steps for recent widows, and there is a 3 stages of widowhood graphic that you can get there. There's another freebie that you can download from my website. It's Legacy Life Print, Letters and Stories. It's a way to share your values and hopes and dreams for the next generation as you are focusing on retiring with purpose and meaning and leaving a lasting legacy. Let's continue our conversations now with Q&A time, or maybe you could share your observations or experiences about retirement or anything else that you'd like to talk about today. And I do want to say thank you so much for participating in this webinar, and thanks to the women of the ELCA for asking me to work with you. All right, into conversation we go.
So I'm suggesting that we be in small groups for the next 5 minutes. And one question to consider might be following up on what Kathleen talked with us about. She suggested that we simplify our accounts. And a lot of people are simplifying other aspects of their life in pre-retirement or in retirement. I thought it might be interesting for us to share our experiences with each other about whether we already are simplifying and what's been hard about that or what's been easy, or if we really are still need to embark on all of that. So can we be in small groups now? I think that Beth from the Women of the ELCA will place us in small groups here momentarily. So just be patient for a minute and think about simplifying.
You picked a good topic, Jenny.
Welcome back, everyone. We now have a Q&A time with our speaker today, Kathleen Rehl. So welcome back to the big group. If you have a question for Kathleen, you can click on that area that says chat at the bottom of your screen and type in your question. I'll take a look at those as they come in. But I've got a question to start with, Kathleen. How can I find a good financial advisor to work with me so that I can have more detailed plans for my retirement?
If you are using the computer, you can go into, there are a couple of sites that I'm going to suggest. One of them is the Alliance of Comprehensive Planners, and that website is actually at ACA Planners, altogether one word, .org. And this is a group that when I was an advisor many, many years ago, I was a part of this group. They are all what's known as fee-only financial planners. They don't charge a commission for what they do. There's just a retainer, a basis. And they deal with all aspects of one's life. And I really found that I needed to focus holistically on someone. So for example, if they came in and said, oh, I'm paying way too much taxes, I got to pay less taxes. Well, I had to look at their investments to see how those investments were dealing with such things as capital gains. And I had to consider the taxes they were paying now versus the taxes that they were going to be paying in retirement. Because in many cases, believe it or not, people pay more money in retirement when they're not working because they've got lots of distributions flowing from their IRAs. So anyway, they deal holistically with people's plannings. And the other group is the National Association of Personal Financial Advisors. And that website is napfa.org. This is a somewhat larger group than the ACA planners. And these also are fee-only financial professionals, not selling products and earning a commission. And with both of these sites, you can just type in your zip code, your location, or if you happen to know the name of a particular planner, you could find them that way, or what their particular specialty is, like maybe it's estate planning you're especially looking at. So I would recommend those two as good beginning places.
So just as a follow-up to what you just shared, Kathleen, do you recommend a financial planner who works on a fee-only basis?
I would. That made sense to me when I first set up my practice as to the kind of clients that I wanted to work with. I didn't want to be having a company. I talked about that, I think, in the presentation about really having to work for that company that stood behind me. And they were the ones that were paying me rather than the individuals. And so had I gone with some of those companies, they would have trained me to push certain products that would produce more revenue for their company, but wouldn't necessarily be correct for my client. But yet that's how I would be rewarded and compensated. And by the way, some of those commission folks get more than money. They get trips, they get special deals, they get parties, they get all kinds of things that I wanted to work with the client. So the client knew right up front, this is what it was costing. And I was truly going to be functioning as a fiduciary, doing what was best for my clients, not for some company standing behind me.
Well, thank you for sharing more details about that. That's helpful. Well, I'm going to shift to a different topic now. You showed that slide of the most delicious looking cake.
Now we're all hungry.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to eat the cake. And you said this idea is better than the cake. It was about the legacy IRA rollover. So the IRA, of course, is the retirement account.
Yes.
You
And
said the
I am
legacy IRA rollover to a charitable gift annuity is a great option for people to think about. Say a little bit more about how that works and how I could do it if I wanted to follow up on that. And does it cost anything to set up?
Oh, if you got the time, I was just in Louisville at a financial conference and I spoke for an hour. So do we have an hour? Could we?
Not quite that long, but how about 5 minutes?
Oh, well, as I mentioned, it was part of Secure 2.0, which passed. And it was a surprise for so many professionals as well as non-professionals when this snuck in. And it was right, like when you and I were wrapping up our Christmas presents and getting ready to celebrate and Santa was packing his sleigh, that's when Congress was passing this law. And it came into effect the very beginning of 2023. Couldn't do it before it. And a charitable gift annuity, and some of you on this call might even have charitable gift annuities now. It's an arrangement, it's a contract with a nonprofit organization, such as with ELCA, ELCA Foundation, where they promise to pay you a certain amount of annual income, quarterly income, semi-annual income, based on the amount that you put in this contract. So, and the payout rate is dependent on your age. The older you are, the better you get for your rate. So with the legacy IRA, there's a limitation of only $50,000 that can be used. Unlike a charitable gift annuity, you can do $1 million charitable gift annuity if you and the organization agree. But this one is only $50,000. And this has been on the table for years. Originally they started out, they were going to make it $400,000 limit. And then it got cut back. And there are some folks in the nonprofit world believe it was a typo. That it shouldn't have been $50,000. It should have been $250,000. So we're hopeful that in future years, it'll extend more. But now it's for one, you can use it one time only, 1 year. So that 50,000 could come out of your IRA and you can split it up. You could have two organizations. You could have 25,000 in one and 25,000 in another, however you want to divide it, but 1 year only. And it can be to benefit yourself, your own life. If you're married, it can be a joint one between you and your spouse, or it can be for your spouse. But unlike a traditional gift annuity, that like I could set up a gift annuity for my 60-year-old son so that he would get the income off of this. Can't do that. With the legacy IRA, it's only for me, my husband, or the two of us. And like I said, it depends on your age. My age at age 60, let's see, I'm 60, that was a long time ago. I'm 76 now. I just turned 76. And so it was 6.8%. And that's set by the National Council on Gift Annuities. So, and most all nonprofits abide by the same rate. So it's a one-page contract, very simple contract. And I requested the money from my Vanguard traditional IRA. They issued the check payable to, and I selected a community foundation where I live for a variety of reasons. They're the ones that are managing this. Payable to the community foundation, but it was sent to me at my address of record. And that way, when the money comes out, it's classified as, here's another big term, qualified charitable distribution, QCD. And that means that when I do my taxes at for this year, Vanguard will tell me, and I had a required minimum distribution this year of $63,000 for which I would have to pay tax on. Well, it'll still say it distributed $63,000, but I will enter in there. Okay, I did 50,000 for this legacy IRA rollover. So therefore, 50,000 subtracted from the 63, I only have to pay income tax on the 13,000. So I have saved paying taxes on the $50,000. It's not that I don't put it in as a charitable deduction on that schedule. It's just off the top. And it's a better place to take it there, because the total, my total adjusted gross income, that number ties into a lot of things on your taxes. And this is getting kind of complex, but there's a surcharge that some of us pay for our Medicare coverage. And the higher your total income is, the greater surcharge you pay. There's also a tax on investment earnings. If your income is beyond a certain level, you're paying 3.8% on some of those investments. So I'm saving a lot by doing that. I'm saving just on the income tax alone, I'm saving $12,000 plus these other taxes along the way. So it's just such a win-win situation. Then it keeps paying income to me for as long as I live. And when I die, the principal that's left in this gift annuity goes, mine is set up so it's going to benefit 3 organizations. There are 2 congregations and then an international widows organization that's very near and dear to my heart. So in a nutshell, I think that's the highlights of how it works. But it was so much fun at this conference, because there were professional advisors there, and they're saying, I didn't know about this. When did this happen? And they didn't follow the law. I mean, they're so busy with doing other things. That's why they came to my session, I guess, to learn more about it. And they want to know, well, what organizations do this? And it's like thousands of charitable organizations. The American Bible Society was one of the first organizations to do charitable gift annuities in this country. And they set it up, I think it was like 180 years ago. And my stepson, who is now 60 years old, gets a check for $6 every year on his birthday. His grandmother bought one of these annuities for him when he was 12 years old. And every year he's gotten it. And he said, my gosh, Kathleen, they're losing money on me, processing the check and mailing it, and what postage costs. He said, but he gets that check and he cancels it. And I asked him, by any chance, did you take a scan of that last check you got? And he said, no, he said, when I get it next year, I'll copy it for you. But it's been going on that long.
We thank you all for attending. We thank you, Kathleen, for sharing with us, and Jenny hosting. We look forward to seeing you next week for our next segment with, I believe, Brenda Moore. Did I get that correct? Is that next week? Okay. Thank you, Jenny. So come back here. And as Linda had mentioned when we opened, the recordings of every session is located at womenoftheelca.org/Katie Fund. So, so you can go there and see what we missed. I apologize for the brief technical difficulty right towards the end of our session. So we will end here. Would anyone like to say anything else? Kathleen?
Nope. It was a joy to work with you, and I have fond memories. I was very, very active in ELCA activities back when I lived in Ohio, and it was after my husband died. And ELCA brought me in to do some retreats on widows, and just it was a delightful time. So it was nice to be back. And a lot of the participants I've known from years back, and I'm looking forward to Brenda's session next time. I know she will say probably a lot more about this legacy IRA and various other vehicles that really it's almost like it's too good to be true, but it is. And these are things that I would encourage viewers, if you're interested in, to speak to ELCA representatives and the ELCA Foundation folks, your local people, because they have a lot more information and will be very, very helpful.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Kathleen. All right. Well, we'll see you next week. Thank you again. We're going to end. Bye-bye.
Blessings.
Blessings.